Hey, what an up and down year it's been in the PSL. So many coaches have been let go of their positions. We've seen Abo Peter Hibala getting taken out. We've seen Abo Coach Mangoba, Abo Coach Rulani. We've seen all types of coaches losing their jobs within this first 6 months, the first half of the season in the PSL. And that has been interesting. One big change that has happened just last week was that Coach Tinkler has been let go at Cape Town City. Coach Tinkler had been with Cape Town City for a number of years. He had been the lead voice of Cape Town City for a while. But what happened, I think, is that Cape Town City became complacent. It became comfortable. It became a team that, you know, does a lot of things well managerially. They've got I believe, the most sponsors in the league. They've got a very good owner in committees. They've got a good structure around that team. But they weren't moving forward. And if you don't move forward, people catch up and people pass you. Think about where Stellenbosch FC was just years ago when looking at Cape Town City. Think about where Cape Town City was and you know, in relation to the Ajax Cape Towns of the world and all of those things, now Cape Town Spurs. Think about how much wealth of experience lives within that club. But now everybody's caught up. Abu Polokwane have passed them. Abu Stellenbosch have passed them. Now we're seeing more teams moving forward, and they needed a dramatic change. Now, the dramatic change has come in the form of Muhsin Ertugral, a very, very well-known, legendary PSL coach, has come back in a technical director role. So he's now the technical director of Cape Town City. He's going to be taking over the team in terms of the coaching up until the end of the season, whereas I believe they will then go and hire somebody else to be the coach, and he can then become the technical director. I love this move. And let me tell you why. One, I think they showed the urgency to go, you know what, guys, we're coming into this thing. We are not moving forward. Maybe now is the time for us to do something dramatic, get rid of Coach Tinkler, bring in a technical director, and move that way. That's number one. Number two, I think it's the thinking of the club in terms of what they want to do. I've said that a lot of South African clubs are built from the bottom up. They're built from the pitch up. That means when the coach comes in, the coach gives you the strategy, the coach gives you the signings or asks for the signings, the coach tells you the starting lineup, he tells you the formations, he tells you what type of football you're going to be playing, which is a very bottom up. You think about a Coach Pitso building the Sundowns structure from him upwards, for example. But now in the modern game, a lot more clubs are moving towards the technical director role, where it goes away from the pitch because there's inherent risks of having everything decided on the pitch. What if the coach gets fired tomorrow? Or what if the coach doesn't bring the results? At what point do we say as the club, hey, we're not going to keep signing players, we're not going to keep doing things that are going to endanger us should the guy who made the signings leave, right? So what if ucoach yangena ufuna tiki-taka? And we sign a bunch of tiki-taka players, it's not working out. Now the club is hamstrung because you have to now continue with that tiki-taka, or if you want to change it, there's a lot of contracts and monies that are still there on the table. So a lot of teams are moving towards the technical director, which is meant to be a more longer term role that's going to align all of the visions and the structures and all of that of the club into one road, right, that is then headed by a person, which means that the coaches that are coming in once that hire has been made are not coaches that are going to have that much of a say as to where the club is going, but they're going to be plug and play. If we decide that we want tiki-taka at the top and we bring in people, that means that the coach is going to be a tiki-taka coach. That means that even when we sign players, the players that we bring in are for the long term of view of the club, not necessarily for that coach. But because it's the style that he plays, he'll be able to work with these guys that we bring in. It takes the risk away of bringing in coaches, hiring and firing and doing all of that stuff with Abu Coach. So that is where they're moving towards. Another thing is that bringing a technical director also aligns things like your developments, women's teams if you have, your scouts, your transfers. You start looking properly. We'll speak about transfers later, but you start being able to look properly at what you need to go get and what you need to go buy and what you need to bring in and what you need to do this. And the players that we're developing, they go into a pipeline that you start being able to do all of those things. Why I think this is an incredible move for a Cape Town City, and especially because they're bringing in Coach Muhsin Ertugral, is that Coach Muhsin Ertugral, number one, knows about Cape Town. He understands Cape Town culture. He understands the club. He understands what's wanted because he's worked with John Committees before at Ajax Cape Town. He was with Ajax Cape Town 2006, 2009, 2013, and 2017, which means already you have a synergy between management and technical director. Sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying. But I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, you know, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abu Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, yeah, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So now the vision of the club, I think even if they were to fight to do whatever, they all have pretty much the same vision, or at least understand what Cape Town football has been. Maybe we go back to seeing a Cape Town that is bringing in players. So many players came through Ajax Cape Town, for example, that were groomed, that were built, that were sold, that were groomed and whatever, through that type of pipeline. Maybe they struggled with keeping the guys, but like I said, well-run team in Cape Town City right now. I believe they've got the most sponsors. So if anybody can take a risk, Cape Town City is one of those teams that can maybe take a risk in terms of keeping guys long-term, and maybe maybe spending a lot more than they make for a little bit in order to get a bigger return. But the biggest part that I think I want to focus on right now is that Coach Muhsin Ertugral for the past 4 years has served as the technical advisor of the Turkish national team. Which means not only does he have the coaching, not only does he have the history with the owner, not only does he have all those things, on top of that, he's done actual technical advising work, which is going to go into, is going to be a big plus in this job that he's going to do. You know, in SA, we struggle so much because the technical directors we bring in, it's either a former coach, and it's a guy who we're hoping is going to be good. Abo Mulifinzeki, Kevin Johnson in a managerial role. We bring them in like, oh, you guys were so good at development. Come pick up a seat here. But we don't necessarily go out and go fetch the people who've got the experience and the know-how to actually do those jobs, right? The guys that we usually have are not administrators at heart. Right? It's people who have been given a chance. So if you look at the teams that do this very well, think about the Orlando Pirates. Uprasten was a proper technical person, an administrator. You know, so it's good that at least with Cape Town City, they're bringing in people, they're bringing in a person who has done the job for an extended time, 4 years. Yes, it's national team, that's different to club and all of that stuff, but at least you've got somebody who's gone out to see the world. I always say that sometimes you need to go out and do different things in order for you to change. The example I always use is Coach Pitso. I think Coach Pitso's outlook on football changed when he got to Bafana. He was assistant then head coach of Bafana, and I think he started honing different skills, honing different management skills, honing different motivational skills and all of that stuff. And that he could take and bring back to Mamelodi Sundowns when he came in. He was no longer a coach, he was a manager. And I think it's going to be the same with the technical director. And I hope that more teams follow suit. I hope that more teams... Look, it's one of two things. It's either you go all the way in on your coach and you trust them and you found them and you give them the time, the contract, you give them the power to be able to do stuff fully, similar to what happened with the Coach Pitso, who didn't want any technical directors. Or you go full in with the technical director idea and you give them the power, the ability, the backing to be able to change a club and really run the club or be able to lay down the foundation and the structures to make the club something bigger. But you can't do it half and half. You can't lay the responsibility on a coach to now fix all of these things and do the scouting and do all of that stuff if you're not going to give them the power. Now you have a technical director who's just sitting, or you have a technical director who you want to give all the power and all of that stuff, but now coach you to know. That's part of the reason why Mamelodi Sundowns has changed. That's part of the reason why Mamelodi Sundowns had to get rid of Abo Manqoba, Abo Rulani, and all of those guys to make sure that when we say Ufleming Beck is the guy who holds the future of the club, the structures of the club, the transfers of the club, the monies of the club, when we speak about him, the youth, the academy, we speak about a person who's not going to have that many hurdles to get past. Coach can influence some things, but the bigger running of the club has to come from there. You think about your Florentino Perez's, right? You think about Edu a little bit at Arsenal. You think about the different people, Cheeky, Bergistan, at Barcelona. You think about those guys and how those clubs are ran, right? So I think this is an incredible move. Now, if it doesn't work out, I want to give credit to Cape Town City for at least trying something and getting out of their comfort zone to do something different. That is the one thing. If it doesn't work, we'll be back here and we'll speak about it. But it is a risk to change your model. But I like the fact that they've tried to mitigate as much risk as they can. Ertugral knows the club, he knows the owner, he's been with the club, he's been in the province, he's been in the city. He understands the development, he understands all of those things. Now he's also got on top of that technical advisor experience. Great move. And I wish more clubs could take a holistic view and think deeper about those things. We're going to speak now about the second thing I want to go into, which is Kwanele Kopo.